Okay, so yesterday we talked about the first paragraph in Where the Red Fern Grows, this excerpt. So we discussed that the speaker is currently inside of a cave. It was dark, it was quiet, and then something awoke him, and he wasn't sure exactly what it was because when you first wake up, you're kind of incoherent. You're fuzzy on the details, don't really know exactly what's going on.
Teachers, that was a false alarm, and Mrs. Gunstead has cleared it. That was a false alarm on that M that come on. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's in reference to a math teacher accidentally sending out that there was a fire in the building this afternoon. And good thing there actually wasn't. So disregard. So anyway, talking about how the details are a little bit fuzzy. When you first wake up, you don't really know exactly what's going on. So you're kind of trying to decide, is it something to worry about or not? And so the speaker continues to listen. His fear's building. He's anxious. He's waiting with anticipation. His heart's starting to pound. He can feel that strain everywhere like a snake constricting him. And he's waiting to see if he hears it again. It came again, closer this time. A high pitch of the scream shattered the silence of the quiet night. The sound seemed to be all around us. It screamed its way into the cave and rang like a blacksmith's anvil against the rock walls. The blood froze in my veins. I was terrified. Although I had never heard one, I knew what it was. It was a scream of a mountain lion. So this is the second time that he's heard this sound. The first time is up here, and now it's come again, and it is drawing closer and closer this time. The scream shattered the silence. Scream shattered silence. If something has been shattered, that means there's no putting it back together. If you break a vase, you might could glue the pieces back. It's not going to look the same, but at least it might still kind of function or look okay. But if you shatter a vase, you might as well chuck it in the trash and let Mom know what you did, because there's no way that it's ever going to be the same as it once was. So shattered is not just broken, but broken past repair. So the night was silent before. It's never going to be silent like it was again. So the silence of the night is now over. Okay, so the night will never be the same again. It's been shattered at this point, so there's no putting it back together. But now the sounds seem to be all around us. Keep in mind that he's inside of a cave, and so if the sound's all around him, it's echoing throughout this cave. And so it's going to be difficult to differentiate between, is the sound coming from in front of him, behind him, beside him, where is this noise that's occurring? It screamed its way into the cave. What screamed its way into the cave? The sound? The sound screamed its way. Can a sound actually do this? I mean, yeah, a scream is a sound, but the sound, it's like it's forcing its way inside where he and the pups are. And so this is a form of personification meant to make this seem like the scream has a mind of its own, almost like it's a beast within itself. The echoes are ringing out like an anvil. Keep in mind that an anvil is kind of like a blacksmith's tool. I'm going to attempt to draw it, and it's not going to look anything like what it actually is. Yeah, that's terrible. But anyway, it's the piece that you would hammer something on. Like if this is a piece of metal, I would heat this up and I would hammer on here to try to create a new tool. It's going to soften it up. I would be beating on this. It would make a noise that would resonate everywhere. It's loud. You would almost want to have some type of earplugs to listen to this. So this simile right here is just kind of expressing exactly how loud the scream is inside of the cave and how terrifying that it must be to hear something like this right there beside you. The blood froze in my veins. For blood to literally freeze, you would have to be outside, with temperature under freezing for a long period of time, probably not moving. So for the blood to actually stop right then and freeze in his veins is a form of hyperbole. He's exaggerating just how frightful he actually is right now. But then he goes on to state, I was terrified. So he's not afraid to admit how he feels. So he's okay, he's comfortable expressing his fear. And he's never heard this noise before. So how can you know what something is if you've never seen it, if you've never heard it, if you've never experienced it? How do you know what it could possibly be? And he says it's a mountain lion. So if he's never heard a mountain lion, how could he know that this is a mountain lion screaming now? So if he hasn't had personal experience himself, then maybe he's relying on someone else's personal experience. Maybe he's heard old timers in the town talk about a mountain lion, attacking their cattle or something, and they described what it sounds like. Maybe he's seen a movie with a mountain lion screaming in it. So it's from some other experience other than personal. So maybe heard stories. Maybe seen on TV or something. Who knows? Maybe in their town they actually teach them some type of, defense techniques or first aid or something. That's something that everybody has to listen to so that they can recognize it. I don't know for sure, but he has to have heard about them from somewhere. So I'm going to take a second to pull up on my phone, which I probably should have already done before now, but I want you to hear what this sounds like. So give me just a second. I'm going to Google mountain lion scream. And for those of you who haven't heard one before, it's probably not going to be like what you're thinking. I know when I heard one for the first time, and again, not in person, I heard it online. It's kind of insane. Now that one doesn't sound like it's hunting. It sounds like maybe it's calling for a friend or a kid to come up. One that's actually on the move, on the attack, on the offensive, is probably going to sound a whole lot worse than that. So the big cat screamed again. This is the third time. This cat's not backing down. It's not going away. It's moving in. It's getting closer and closer. This is the third time now within a matter of minutes that we've heard this big cat scream. He's trapped. He's inside the cave. And this lion is somewhere directly outside of the cave. What is he going to do? He's stuck inside. What's his means of defense? Think about what you might do in a situation like this. He has puppies. And these puppies are important to him, and he's probably going to do what it takes to protect them. If the puppies aren't important to him, it could be he uses them as a diversion. So it says leaves boiled and stirred where my pups were. Are the leaves literally boiling? Are they stirring themselves? No, it means that the puppies are starting to wake up also. They're hearing the noise and they're starting to kind of wrestle around and trying to figure out also what's going on. So they're waking up. One's sitting up, and it says, the big cat screamed again. Leaves boiled and stirred where my pups were. In the reflection of the glowing coals, I could see that one was sitting up. It was the boy dog. A leaf had become entangled in the fuzzy hair of a floppy ear. The ear flicked. The leaf dropped. So if you'll notice before, when it talked about the calls, we had the word red included. This time red has been eliminated and it just simply says glowing calls. So it's kind of curious that they've dropped the red, or that Wilson Rawls has dropped the red now just to describing as glowing. So glowing does not have the same connotation to it as glowing red. So maybe now we're looking at these calls as being more of a form of protection, of warmth, of safety. And so maybe not so much, bloodshed or danger any longer. So the puppies are awake. Says that they have leaves stuck into their fuzzy hair. They have floppy ears. This is kind of, giving you the imagery of a cute little fuzzy baby. And, with a baby who's going to be defenseless, needing to be protected, you're going to want to do what you can to save them, to protect them. This poor little thing is probably helpless. Again, the hellish scream rang out over the mountains. Leaves flew as my pup left the bed. I jumped up and tried to call him back. So we have a fourth time the scream of the mountain lion. And this time it's ringing out over the entire mountains. And so it's not just intruding upon the cave, it's everywhere. It's like this cat has taken over the entire area. And so one of the puppies, the boy puppy, has jumped up. He's left leaves in his wake, and he is headed out. And so sometimes when you're younger, whether you be a person or a dog, you don't always think before you act. Sometimes you do things and you do them foolishly in the name of, I got to do something. And so this puppy has jumped up and run out to investigate to see what this cat is all about. If you think about a tiny little fuzzy puppy with a floppy ear, probably doesn't stand much of a chance up against a very large and very intimidating mountain lion. So right now I would be calling this puppy too. And so a lot of the time the pups, they're not going to listen to you. The puppy thinks he's being brave. Kind of like that little dog syndrome where all the little dogs, like the little chihuahuas, think that they can totally attack a Great Dane. Doesn't usually work out so well. But it is funny when the bigger animal retreats instead. So the pup thinks he's brave. He thinks he's protecting his owner. Reaching the mouth of the cave, he stopped. Raising his small red head high in the air, he bawled his challenge to the devil cat. The bawl must have scared him as much as it had startled me. He came tearing back. The tiny hairs on his back were standing on end. So the puppy has gotten to the mouth of the cave. That cave doesn't literally have a mouth, so we have some more personification going here. But basically just saying he reached the entrance. And the puppy has stopped. And this is when he is raising his head, raising his head high into the air and bawling his challenge. So he's like, hey cat, come take this. Let's see if we can go head to head. So basically he's kind of doing like his little yipping noise, which again kind of makes us think, baby's bawling. But the bawl must have scared him as much as that had startled me. So when the little puppy starts to yell his challenge to the devil cat, he doesn't scare the cat. He scares himself. So his own noise terrifies him. Which adds a kind of a comedic relief to this. This is a very tense part of the book. We need something that kind of lightens it up a little bit. And so just imagining this cute little fuzzy puppy with the floppy ears running to the edge of the cave, and you're like, no, don't go. And then you hear him make this noise, and then he turns around and comes tearing back into the cave. You can almost imagine him like tripping and falling over his ears as he's running back in. It's kind of funny. So it's all about adding in a little bit of comedic relief here to kind of lighten the mood. and the tiny hairs on his back were standing on end. So even a little bit more imagery going on here for you. You know, when a cat walks up to a dog and it startles the cat, you know, the cat gets the hair that kind of sticks up on its back. Well, dogs do that too. So this little puppy has hair sticking up all over his back. You know, this is his back. His hair is going all kinds of crazy. So it just adds a little bit more to you being able to picture what the puppy looks like when he's running back in. So this is a fantastic book. I still recommend that you read it. Where the Red Fern Grows, Wilson Rawls. We have a couple of copies in the library, so it would count as classic literature. So at this point, you have a list of questions that I would like for you to answer. This is what they look like. So if you'll go through, I want you to make sure that you read the questions, ask yourself, what is this asking me? Where can I find it? Then go back to your annotations and kind of check to see if you need to make any more notes. And then when you are going through these answer choices, and there are 5 for each one, mark out the bad answer choices first. I do not want to see people just simply going through and circling stuff like this. That's not going to cut it. Make sure you go through and eliminate at least a couple, 2 or 3 really bad answer choices before you make a decision. So with that being said, go ahead and get started. Make sure you're using your notes. And if you finish before class is over, you just need to read on your own. Adios.